By far, the most terrifying prehistoric beast might have been the Therizinosaurus. This creature stands out from all others because of its size and savage ferocity. It had claws on the ends of its fingers that made it the Edward Scissorhands of the prehistoric world. These things were so long that it could have cut a person into 3 pieces with one swipe. Scientists say the claws were at least 3 feet long each, maybe even longer. That's about the length of an ordinary person's leg. Plus, the Therizinosaurus stood an estimated 30 feet tall, over 3 times taller than a human. So far, the only known location of the Therizinosaurus is Mongolia. It lived in the Gobi Desert about 70 million years ago. Number 9. Giant killer dinosaur. The Meraxes gigas was quite similar to the Tyrannosaurus rex in that it was a huge meat-eating dinosaur with tiny arms. This terrifying new creature was discovered by paleontologists just recently in the northern Patagonian region of Argentina. The skull of the new dinosaur was first unearthed in 2012, and since then, many more of its bones have been excavated. This particular dinosaur weighed a whopping 4 tons, but may have even grown larger. It had reached such a high level of development that scientists believe it had facial ornamentation linked to social signaling. In other words, it was starting to develop facial expressions and characteristics quite similar to our own. Number 8. Beelzebufo. In modern times, the only frogs people need to be afraid of are the ones that excrete poison through their skin. But between 65 and 70 million years ago on the island of Madagascar, there was a creature known as the devil frog that would have been positively horrifying. According to National Geographic, the Beelzebufo was the size of a beach ball, weighing about 10 pounds and growing to be 16 inches long. And here's another thing that makes the Beelzebufo such a terrifying creature. Unlike its docile living relatives, the devil frog was mean and aggressive. It had all the tools it needed to crunch dinosaur bones and swallow small hatchlings. Number 7. The super piranha. The modern red-bellied piranha can grow to about 20 inches in length. That's just shy of 2 feet. It had incredible zigzag teeth that it used to slice flesh like a mouthful of razor blades. It also had one of the most incredible bite forces of any fish throughout the planet's history. The bite force of a Tyrannosaurus rex was roughly 3,000 pounds. Nobody knows for sure, but that's a solid estimate. The megapiranha had a bite force of 1,000 pounds. The megapiranha's unforgiving chompers would have meant certain mutilation to anything unfortunate enough to get stuck between them. Lucky for us, this creature went extinct a long time ago. Number 6. Baryonyx. The baryonyx was a truly frightening carnivore. It also had a similar body to the T-Rex, meaning it was large and plodded around on 2 legs. The baryonyx was an expert fisherman that grew to be over 30 feet long. It had extremely sharp and finely serrated teeth that were great for ripping apart the flesh of fish. Unlike other carnivorous theropods during the age of the dinosaurs, the baryonyx was a passive hunter. Number 5. Dreadnoughtus. The Dreadnoughtus is an extinct genus of sauropod, a truly gargantuan herbivore that had a neck 37 feet long. Sauropods were the biggest land animals that ever lived, defined by their large size, their preposterously long necks, and their 4 thick legs. They had really tiny heads, and their legs were like concrete pillars to support their immense weight. Then at their backs, they had extremely long tails like whips. Scientists have speculated that because of their long necks, they wouldn't have needed to move very much. They would have walked no more than a few feet, then stood around all day munching on vegetation. Number 4. The Jacalopterus. The Jacalopterus was the largest known eurypterid that ever lived. Eurypterids were armed predators of the ocean that looked like sea scorpions. Eurypterids are particularly fascinating because they were bigger than anything you could imagine. Picture a scorpion, only much larger, and swimming through the water to get you. That's how terrifying these things were. They lived at a time when the oceans were brimming with life. But the Jacalopterus was gigantic, with an unbelievable length of roughly 10 feet. The Jacalopterus didn't live in the ocean, but lurked in fresh water like lakes and rivers. Number 3. The giant stork. In prehistoric Indonesia, about 50,000 years ago, there was a giant carnivorous stork. While ancient hominins competed for food on the tropical island in Indonesia, they had to deal with the gigantic birds not only stealing their food, but also trying to eat them. If you've ever been down to the river and seen a heron standing in the water waiting for a fish to go by, the prehistoric stork was about 6 times larger than that. It lived in Indonesia during a particularly unique period. Number 2. The mosasaur. The mosasaur lived 80 million years ago and was one of the most ferocious beasts that ever roamed the world's oceans. A 30-foot sea monster that was kind of like a mix between a crocodile and the Loch Ness Monster. It was an extremely massive marine reptile that grew to be the top predator in the ocean. One of the interesting things about the mosasaur is just how diverse its family was. As of right now, the largest mosasaurus skeleton on display can be found at the Canadian Fossil Discovery Centre in Manitoba. The mosasaur was a weird mix between a whale and a lizard. It's honestly the best way to describe it. Number 1. Allosaurus. The Allosaurus was almost like the baby brother of the T-Rex. It was one of the first dinosaurs ever discovered. It was a gigantic bipedal carnivore with small arms, a big head, and deadly teeth. The Allosaurus lived from sometime around 155 million years ago until 150 million years ago. It was a Jurassic dinosaur and was particularly numerous in what is now Utah. This shows just how prolific they really were. Plus, they have been found all over the place, from Portugal to Siberia and even in Tanzania in Africa. Another interesting fact is that the Allosaurus had a pretty long lifespan. Adults could probably live up to at least 28 years. Thanks for watching! Which of these prehistoric beasts would be the most terrifying to see in real life?